So this is my Christmas pop-up card for my Joy Machine. I'm going to be showing how I load my Joy Machine because it has some specific little details that are particular to this card. So for this card, I'm using a cutout card. I want the Merry Christmas sentiment to be placed exactly where it is on this panel. So I've created another panel that has the Merry Christmas where I need it to be. And I'm going to use this as a template on my cut screens. I just want to show you how I use this template when I send my card to be cut. So I click on Make It, and then Multiple Ways. I'm going to scroll down here to the off-white, and under the main panel I'm going to choose on card mat. I'm cutting it on my card mat. So this puts the two off-white pieces on two separate mats. So this is the first mat, and if you notice, this is going to cut here, and I don't really want that. And then this is my second mat, and this is going to place it in the middle. Now I could try to place it approximately where I want it. Odds are I'd be off. It would make my design look funny. I'm going to click on the corner and click on Move Object, and then I'm going to move it to that other mat. So now I have my original image, and then I have my sentiment. I'm going to place my sentiment so that's exactly over the sentiment that's already on that mat. I'm going to click the larger image and make it vanish. So hide selected. Those black cut lines around the perimeter are now gone. So now when I send this to be cut, my Joy Machine is just going to cut out the letters. It's not going to cut out anything else, and it's placed exactly where I need it to be placed. So in essence, I've just used that other mat as a template for placement for my Merry Christmas. Now, there are definitely different ways of doing this. This is just a fast and easy trick to get your sentiment to exactly where you want it. So for the cover of my card, I'm using a cutaway card. I have my card that has the adhesive backing. I take the adhesive backing off and I lay the insert with the shiny side facing down on the adhesive, like so. And that's what I'm going to be loading into my mat. So I'm grabbing my card mat and I'm taking the liner off. So I'm just putting my card in and closing it down. So I have my sticky side right underneath that front panel. This is going to be the front of my card. So on my screen, I have selected cutaway card and I'm inserting my mat. I'm carefully taking my card off the mat, and then I'm just going to go in and weed out those letters. And they're very small, very fragile, so it's time to be very careful. So now I'm just loading my mat for my front panel. So next I'm cutting that panel that flips up on the interior of the card. I need to score the middle of that piece. I'm switching out my blade to my foil tool. So I'm just inserting the foil tool. I'm not going to do any foiling at all. It's just to have this tool create a fold line in the middle of my panel. I'm just pressing go. And there's my score line. Now I'm switching the foil tool back to the blade. I'm pressing go. And now it's going to do the cut. So as I'm removing my panel from my mat, I have my fold line. I'm just going to burnish. So I'm just burnishing my fold line. So next I'm going to work on the panel that has all the cutouts for that 3D element. So I'm just using one of my new opaque gel pens. Design Space is telling me to insert this first. So now it's just going to start drawing on my cardstock. For the next phase, I need to take out my pen and put in the foil tool to do all the score lines on that panel. So I've just inserted my foil tool, and my Joy Machine is going to do all the score lines for me. Now I'm replacing my foil tool with my blade. I'm ignoring the instructions about the foil, and it's just going to make the cuts I need to in this panel. So I've just removed my panel from my mat, I'm taking that panel off my mat carefully. There's a lot of little tiny cuts, so you want to be careful. I'm giving my piece of cardstock on my mat and peeling the mat away. So this is the trickiest piece to fold. So you have these cuts and you want to make sure that they're all released. So you have the long cuts here on each side. Sometimes one little piece gets stuck. So just at any corners or anywhere those lines meet, you want to make sure that they're completely detached as they should be. And then you have a score line down here. So that's the center score line for your panel. You can fold on it, but make sure that you're not folding on the stem of your Christmas tree because it's not supposed to fold. Its fold line is down here at the base. So that little score line at the top, you just want to go in there with your finger and just fold it forwards without affecting all the other score lines. Every single one, and just sort of fold it forwards like so. So you can do that on both sides of your tree. With my left hand, I'm going under and I'm pushing my tree so that it moves towards my right hand. And as I'm doing it, I also want to make sure that my paper is folding at those top score lines. The top score lines run across here. And you just want to make sure as you're folding it that your cardstock is also folding at those top score lines. So I'm just pinching those score lines like so. And with that you can see it's already taking on quite a bit of dimension. And then I want to just fold forward, folding my tree towards the left, like so. I'm just pushing down on all those folds. It's just helping my cardstock crease properly. And then folding at that center score line. Everything folds nice and flat. Next I have my piece of glitter that fits right on top like so. I'm just gluing it as a tiny little border all the way around. And now I'm going to grab my red layer. I'm just putting glue everywhere except where there's the cutouts. And then I have it right on the score line of my card. I'm trying as best I can to have an even border on both sides. And you want that panel to be right up against the score line at the bottom. Then I'm going to open my card and put glue all over the other half of that green panel, except where there's the cutout. Now I'm just closing my card down. And then when I open it up, I have my pop-up tree. Using the smart vinyl for the decoration at the front. This is permanent vinyl. You don't really need permanent vinyl for cardstock, except I really wanted to try this material. So my machine's finished cutting, but I'm going to cut off my vinyl right below that lowest cut line. And then I'm just going to cut out this part of it. I can still make use of this piece and cut it on a regular mat. So I'm just weeding my smart vinyl, and I have to say, piece of cake. Weeds absolutely beautifully. I have a piece of very well used transfer tape. When I'm trying to transfer vinyl onto cardstock, I always use transfer tape that's already lost a lot of its sticky because I don't want it to rip my cardstock. I'm using my craft mat to help me make sure this is nice and straight. I'm just adhering my vinyl. And then I have my extra layer that goes on top. I'm just going to glue that down. I've embossed this panel using an embossing machine. And then I have my pop-up element. I want my pop-up element to unfold like so. So I'm just going to put glue on that bottom panel. So on the panel that has the writing on it, I'm going to cover the underside of it in glue and glue it down. Like so. You open the card, you open the panel, and there's the pop-up. And it's still a relatively thin card.